Yeah. Well, actually, I forgot about this. Let me start with the reason behind the planning. I always like to read it first. Maybe you, Joseph, wanna read it today?
Yeah, that's cool. Successful use of Scrum depends on people becoming more proficient in living five values: commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. The purpose of the sprint retrospective is to plan ways to increase quality and effectiveness. The team inspects how the last sprint went with regards to individuals, interaction processes, tools, and other definitions of done. Inspect elements of inspect e- inspected elements often vary from with the domain of work. Assumptions that lead them astray are identified and their goals explored. The team discusses what went well during the sprint, what problems it encountered, and how those problems were or were not solved. The team identifies the most helpful changes to improve its effectiveness. The most impactful improvements are addressed as soon as possible. They may even be added to the sprint backlog for the next sprint. Link to the Figma board.
Cool, thanks. The link is here, and also Gideon shared the link on the voice channel chat. And now let's jump straight into it. Um, so as usual, what we are going to do first is to start with a few shoutouts, with praise specifically. We're gonna have just about 10 minutes to dish some praise directly on the praise channel in Discord, and then we jump onto the questions for the sprint. And the timer starts now. You have just little less than 2 minutes left. Let's get those praises coming. Okay, so now we are done with the praise. Let's jump onto the questions. Um, as always, three questions. What should we continue doing? What we need to stop? And then ideas. We are going to take 10 minutes for each question, followed by 5 minutes of discussion for each question as well. And we start with the first one, with the continue one right now. We seem to have slowed down. I hope that we are doing better than what it seems on here on the board. We have little over 5 minutes left for this question. Well, we seem to have slowed down once again. I'll just wait 30 seconds, and if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next part. Um, if anything, we can make use of this time right now to read all the notes, so that we can discuss in in a in a minute. Okay, I'm stopping the timer now, and I'm going to put 5 minutes in so that we can discuss this question. Um, Does anybody feels like starting? Oh, okay, go ahead.
I can do it. I would say overall, right now, it feels like having come off of the grants round, we're now investing in more like process again and kind of getting ready for the next wave of work that is part of this new funding cycle. So a lot of what I'm seeing up here, it kind of reflects that. Um, getting better at pulling projects and plans together, communicating, even like the funding proposal, this the process for that. Um, and also, there's a theme here of communications. Like, just communications seem to be smoother, and there's more of it going on. Connections with partners are starting to reform. The forum is becoming more active again. Um, Not so much Discord, I don't think, but that may be a deliberate decision that we want to make, is shifting more of the engagement to the forum. Anyway, yeah, seems like it's good momentum. Do you want me to hand it over to, or do you want to just keep it open, Isaac?
Um, yeah, we can keep it open. If anybody wants to share anything, feel free to. If not, we can just move to the next one. We can also, or better said, um, let's keep in mind that the idea is also to to be able to take things home, in the sense of like, if there's anything we can take out of these nodes to work on this sprint, that'd be ideal. If not, just having an open comment about how we feel is also 100% fine. But if no one,
Yes,
okay, go ahead, Bear.
yeah, I can go just really quickly. Yeah, I think in regards with our planning, I would like to say that, yeah, I feel that we're improving on that front a lot. This idea of having defined owners for each of the work priorities that we will be taking, it just felt great. Like a better sense of accountability, responsibility, and also just easier for us to navigate through that work, and have someone that we can reach out to in case we have any questions. I think that felt great, as well as this idea of the pre-planning that we've been doing. I've just really enjoyed that. It seems that we are creating a more um, a better flow, a more sustainable flow of our sprints. So yeah, that feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think overall, like, the work we make, or like the things we are seeing around are all a reflection of our work. And we may not have like a huge engagement, but the fact that people like Octopus and others seem to be sort of keeping an eye on the TC, at least for me, feels really good and sort of validates the direction we are taking, um, which is, ultimately it's the most important thing, that the people, the users we care about, or the users the TC was born for, validate our decisions in some level. And it's just like work has been just getting better, instead of like clarity and like how Gideon said, communication and all that. It's getting just smoother and smoother every single sprint. You want to say something, Sean? I see you unmuted, or I don't know if that's me, but I cannot hear you.
You're breaking up, Shannon.
Can you hear me? Test.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Just quickly, yeah, I just wanted to say what stood out for me. I totally agree. Things seem to just be getting smoother. It's been really easy to like communicate and know where to be. And it felt like recently there's been a lot of creativity coming up. Like people have had the freedom to kind of come up with creative ideas. I like how Isaac last week came up with a product doc for the tunable QF, um, and we've been working with the Gitcoin team, reaching out to them, and Gideon's. It's always fun to like sync with Gideon and kind of get a glimpse into the vision. Like Gideon's really good with vision for what's coming next with TEC, and then the proposals that have gone live on the forum, like the coordination team, and I got to put my proposal up there, and just feels like there's been a lot of creativity that's really been fostered, and it's like we have a good space for people to really bring their ideas to the surface and get feedback. So I've been enjoying that.
Time's over. You wanted to say something, Nate? You can wrap this section up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's just been really great to see kind of the bigger questions that we've had in terms of strategy and overall direction within the TEC become a little bit more discernible and real. And so I think that's really a positive step forward for us. And yeah, we'll keep it moving.
Yep, nice. So now we're going on to the next one. Stop. What should we stop doing or needs improvement overall? Again, we have 10 minutes. And remembering that's all about processes and how we work together, not necessarily about the deliverables of work. And timer starts now. We have 1 minute and a half left. And seems like we have slowed down, so let's just take this minute to read everything, and then we can jump straight into the discussion. Okay, I'm stopping the. Oh, I see it already.
Go ahead. I can keep running.
Okay, well, um, I'll just stop the timer and we can start the discussion. I'll open the mic to see if anyone wants to jump in first, and if not, I'll pick someone. Anybody want to go first? 5, 4, 3, 2.
I'll jump in.
Okay, nice.
So I just wrote there. I have three sticky notes here. They're all kind of about like integration between different facets of the TEC, and then also exposure to say the public, and then exposure to say like the TE Academy. So it's this idea. I think we could have more integration between, say, the coordination team, the advisory network, and then projects like QF projects. And I think the community call is going to be a really good remedy for this, like a point where we can all come together and synchronize between the different facets. The next one here is more public-facing awareness. So I've just noticed that this past week, like quite a few points where, let's say on the forum, someone's saying like, how can I track this work? So yeah, having a little bit more like, what does our interface look like to the public or to the community, maybe the Discord server or the forum, like updating, putting updates on the forum, or again, maybe the community call is going to be kind of a remedy for this. And then the academy just sort of, I think, so we canceled the merger, but we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think we want to foster some overlap between this community and the TE Academy, and have like a bridge. Like, what's the bridge between people that are engaging with the Academy and then with the TEC? That's what I've been thinking about. Yep, that's all for me. I'll pass it back to you, Isaac.
Thanks. Anybody wants to follow up with comments?
I'll go. Yeah, this is building on YGG's comment about really kind of like outward-facing focus. And I think that one of the issues that we still suffer from is we just don't really know yet what we want to be when we grow up. And so, really clarifying who it is we're trying to connect with, what is the level of engagement that we really care about, what types of engagement do we care about? The current mission has the TEC striving to be the Schelling point for token engineering, and the question is that really what we want? Is that really the reality, given the role that the Academy plays and how vibrant their community still is at this point? So I think that there are just some fundamental questions that once we start to answer those, these other things about outward-facing activities and processes are going to become a lot easier to make progress on. So that's one of the things I'm thinking, over the next couple months that we'll be more systematic about answering. And then the other general comment I have is, I think, we're getting a lot better at planning, and we could be a lot better still at getting out front of our deadlines, especially when it comes to events and things like that, where we, need some time to promote and build awareness. Like, we can't be doing last minute things anymore. So I think that's, as we're thinking about our planning overall, like just getting really good at getting out front and doing things well in advance of when they're actually about to happen. And I'll pass it back to you, Isaac.
Cool, nice. Anybody else? I just threw in 1 minute more on the timer.
Yeah, I'll go. I think that we set a really good foundation for what is our new direction. But there's some things that can be kind of fine tuned that I think we should really pay attention to, especially when it's in regards to the grant rounds. We do a really good job of it, but if we can solidify that a little bit more in terms of just having it almost automatic, we know exactly what we need to do each time, and making sure that there's no gaps and people aren't left behind or confused when they come to apply for a grant, I think would be huge, as well as, our internal processes that we have. We have a good foundation for it, but just kind of fine tuning it and focusing on what are the weaknesses of certain processes and what are the strengths of them. I think focusing on those things will actually, help us in the long run in terms of getting it out of the way. Outside of that, I really do agree with a lot of what Gideon was speaking about, and in particular, getting ahead of things, being able to plan, especially when it comes to external communications or building partnerships, that we need to really get ahead of some of these initiatives that we have. That way, things aren't so last second, and we're not pushing for last minute communications or last minute collaborations with other organizations and individuals. So I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks. I think you, Bear, wanted to say something as well.
Well, yeah, it was just basically also following up on Gideon and Nate's comments. Yeah, I agree that the planning it's important, and I think it's really good that for the first time during this last sprint, we set the goal of having these project plans ready, like in advance, for all the different work priorities that we have. So I think that's great. I think we'll probably need some continuous improvement on the way we do that, and get better at it. But I think it's just a good starting point. And in regards with the grants program, with the grants run, yeah, I still think that it would be really beneficial to have at least one session with the team all together, and do some sort of retrospective, similar to what we're doing now, but focus on the last grants round, and try to talk about the weaknesses and the strengths that the round had. Yeah, and that'd be basically for me. Pass it back to you.
Thanks. Okay, now let's jump on to the last question. There's like about 10 minutes left from the top of the hour. We're probably going to go just 5, 10 minutes over. If anybody has to jump out, feel free to. And the time starts now. This is ideas to try, things we may want to work on this sprint or in the future. Oh, I see a bunch of plus ones. Maybe we can even leave this question open. So like if people just want to chat while we write and start throwing ideas around, that's also fine. There's about 2 minutes left. Again, if anybody wants to start speaking, sharing their ideas, it's absolutely fine. Probably perfect. The best time to do so.
I'm just curious if anyone has been following FriendTech at all, or looked into their bonding curve or anything like that.
I'm like fairly familiar, but I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
They have a very different bonding curve. I don't think it maintains a reserve ratio. It's not the Bancor style bonding curve, so it's like a different bonding curve, but it's almost an augmented bonding curve. They just don't have the hatch. And honestly, I feel like the hatch is one of the things that would make their project not feel so scammy. If they had a hatch, like a core group of people that could buy in all at the same price and remove the speculation out front where bots are coming in. So I don't know. I feel like that's like an interesting opportunity that we could kind of promote the history of the TEC while also discussing like a project that's really relevant in like is making moves in the token engineering space and different design decisions. It's not that it's bad to be overly speculative at the beginning, but it turns some people off and it makes other people really excited to create bots and start speculating in friend.tech. So I think it's an interesting conversation to have anyway.
You know what would be interesting is I've been looking, and Simon de la Riviere seems to be interested in this. I wonder if we could ever convince him to join one of the bonding curve research group sessions specifically about this.
Yeah, that would be cool. We could talk bonding curves and friend.tech.
I'll mention it to Jeff. I'll drop him a note right now. That's interesting.
That's actually very interesting, and this is probably not like pertinent to our team specifically, but I'm not familiar with Friends Tech curve, but I've seen some criticism as far as the curve being um, not optimal. Like it gets quite expensive quite fast, and they're making a boatload of money. So there's probably like some research and even potential work to make around Friend Tech. That'd be fun. Yeah, Octopus.
I think what's most interesting about it is that it works really well because they're making a whole bunch of money, right? So like speculators really love it, and then but like, I talked to Livia and Tam about it, and they're like, "Oh, that project looks horrible," But like, well, so like the people who are, I don't know. I think it's a really juicy conversation.
Yeah, I think the speculation is actually a very short-term thing too. I think the design choices for the bonding curve really makes sense when you really look at it. It keeps the amount of like real followers down in the long term after speculation dies off, because it's really a losing proposition unless you have significant early entry to big accounts. But once those accounts are started, then it's very hard to speculate and make money off of. So I think long term, it's a really good design choice. But yeah, it's really interesting conversation to have, and I would love to see that conversation be had by some really good token engineering.
I have to try it. Yeah, I've also heard some people say they have probably one of the best user experiences in whole crypto. Like it seems to be very easy and abstracted to just use FinTech. Um, any other ideas we may want to share around? I think the ones around QF are not only very interesting, but also like we do need to get that done. So because also now that we want to start getting thanks Kir, for coming. Hope to see you.
Yeah, and
soon
if
again.
anyone's working on or wants to work on like the optimism migration plan, DM me and we can start like putting together some stuff. Thank you guys. Bye everyone.
See you. But um, yeah. Now that we want to get sponsors and all that, I think it's important that we also do some pre-reach out. Because now we need to deliver numbers to sponsors and all that. Yeah. Anybody has anything else to share? If not, I can also take 1 minute to show how to set up a proposal in Tavoting that they're needed to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll open the floor just once again to see if anyone has any comments. The retrospective, and if not, we can jump straight into it. 5.
I guess one thing just to put words to it, rather than just seeing on the screen, feels like the retrospective for the grants round is probably a good idea, because there's some specific recommendations in here about how we could improve things, and I think the sooner we get on that, the more we get ahead of the curve, and there are some specific things we can do. So I think that's a good way to just get a focused conversation on this.
Yeah, we. Yeah, I have the sense. I've been having the sense for a few weeks that we may want to introduce another call in our calendars. Um, I'm usually very skeptic or trying to be very careful about calls because I'm precisely the one that removed almost all of them. But yeah, we don't. It's just hard to communicate and coordinate all we have to communicate and coordinate, and we just don't have enough time together, pretty much. So
One just quick thought on that is the biggest challenge that we have is trying to find times for ad hoc meetings, where we're all available. And so one of the things we talked about a while ago was having one time in the week that we just all kind of hold and don't have to use if we don't need it. So I just throw that idea back out on the table as one solution to that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever option we go with, yeah, I would agree that probably having an extra call or at least some extra time to have a potential call, that'd be probably be beneficial, and maybe that's where the grants round retrospective could fit in. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably add that as a topic for next week's meeting. Well, let me get with with this. You guys seen my screen, right? Well, gardens.